Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for our November installment of Rainbow Inspiration Series, where today we're going to be featuring Kim Giovacco. She is an entrepreneur in our mountain region. And this Rainbow Inspiration Series was developed in partnership with AARP and Blue Ridge Pride Generation Plus, and it seeks to highlight and recognize older adults in our LGBTQ community. Our goal is to provide a small bit of inspiration to you and maybe brighten your day a little bit by introducing and having a conversation with members of our community, LGBTQ older adults. And it's through this series that we get to hear the stories of others and learn their journeys and be inspired. So we really do learn a lot from other folks' stories and individuals' stories, and your stories matter. And that's why AARP is working hard to deliver these to you. They're working with the North Carolina and StoryCorps to listen to and celebrate the stories from StoryCorps out loud. And this is going to be an initiative dedicated to documenting and preserving stories from the LGBT community. And there is also a project with Blue Ridge Pride, the Western North Carolina LGBTQ Oral History Project, that's being hosted again by Blue Ridge Pride. And I do encourage you to check out these efforts or other efforts in your community to find a way to share your story or just listen to others, because you may just find inspiration and joy. So I would like to let you know that if you're joining us live today, at any point, if you have any questions or want to make any comments, just drop it into the chat and we'll do our best to address them throughout the conversation. So with all that said, and with no further delay, I really would like to introduce our guest today, Kim Giovacco. She is the owner and founder of Veg Johnson Journeys. It offers travel design for vegan lifestyle with top destinations, including places like US and Africa, Asia, and Europe. And without further ado, thank you, Kim, for taking time out of your day to enjoy it, to join us for our Rainbow Inspiration. So
thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So when we were preparing for this segment, I sent you a little email and I asked you to provide a little information for yourself. And I really want to share the quote that you gave me, which was that you are living your dream in Western North Carolina and turning your passion for travel into a career. And I really think that's super fantastic. Dreams and passions, and not to mention, healthy foods and nutritions while you're traveling. So that gives us a lot to unpack. See what I did there? But no more bad puns. So you're in Western North Carolina. Are you originally from our area?
No, I've been here for 4 years. Previous to that, I was in the Boston area for about 25 years.
Now, was there anything particular that brought you to Western North Carolina?
Yes, I moved here because it was vegan friendly, tiny house friendly, and LGBTQ friendly.
Absolutely. Now, I understand you have a passion for travel. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Now, and I have to admit, I noticed that you mentioned on your website that you had previously worked for a well-known map company in Korea. Did that contribute to your interest in traveling, seeing different communities?
Yeah, that was a little bit, those were two different jobs. So I have a degree in geography and I worked for a map and atlas company. And then I worked for the Korean National Tourist Office in New York. And I also had a job with the government of Singapore before starting my business for almost 20 years. So yeah, it was really good experience working with other cultures. I really loved it.
That's really fantastic. Now, I know the AARP is a fierce supporter of encore entrepreneurs and just generally defined as someone who's starting a business after the age of 50. So when you started Veg Johnson Journeys, were you a encore entrepreneur?
Yes, it didn't happen until I was 53, and it was actually 35 years in the making.
Oh, wow. So this had been something you had been considering for quite a while.
A little bit. I wanted to be a travel agent since I was about 18, and it just didn't exactly happen in a straight path. So then basically my passion and my hobby turned into my vocation, which, yeah, I think you couldn't ask for anything better than that.
Now, the first thing I want to ask you is, did you have any like specific challenges that you faced, even if they were just kind of internal, like about starting that whole second journey? Do you?
I never imagined myself being an entrepreneur. My whole working career for over 30 years was just, 9 to 5 jobs. And yeah, it was just kind of interesting the way it happened. It was time for me to leave my previous job with Singapore. They wanted me to transfer to a city I didn't really want to live in at that point in my life, and I ended up getting a very good severance package after being there for so many years. And I had kind of started my business on the side while I was still working for them, just kind of planning on doing the business during my vacation time. And so I think that if people are able to do that, that's a really good thing to do instead of just jumping right into it.
Fantastic. Now, so I understand, of course, we've been through some things in the past couple of years, or it seems like the past couple of years, and clearly that's impacted travel. How have you kind of managed that? Have you just kind of stepped back? Because surely, this wasn't in your business plan.
Right. I only had 2 full years before the pandemic hit, and my third year was on track to be a really good one. At the beginning of the year, right before the pandemic, half my tours were sold out already for 2020. And so basically I had, I think 10 tours that were canceled. I'm very proud to say I was able to refund all of my clients' money. I mean, a lot of big companies held on to their money or just gave them vouchers, but I refunded everything. And I'm really fortunate. My company didn't have any debt, and my overhead expenses are low. So it's a little bit like starting over now. I did have a tour that went to Tuscany just last month, and I kept the group small, and it went really well. I mean, there were a lot of hurdles to get into Italy, but we all thought that it was well worth it. And the Italian community was really, really happy to welcome us. So
that's truly fantastic. I love that. And it's good to know that some folks have been able to travel about. Now, so when you're having a tour, speaking from the LGBTQ community, where diversity is often something we consider before booking a big trip or something like that, what is the makeup? Is it is it a portion of older adults? Is it, a makeup male? How does that look when you?
We usually, it's my intention to keep my group small. So the average group size is just about 10 people. And there's usually 1 or 2 couples, and all the rest are usually solo travelers. Not necessarily singles, sometimes singles, sometimes they're just not coming with a spouse. And most of our travelers are over 50. We usually have one person that will be in their 30s or 40s, but everyone else seems to be about 50 up to age 75.
Wonderful. Now, vegan is clearly right there in the title. So is it strictly a vegan tour, vegetarian? How does that work?
It's strictly vegan. So you don't have to be vegan to come on the tour, but you just have to eat vegan while you're around the table with everyone else. So basically, I traveled as a vegetarian for 30 years, and that's really not that difficult. But being vegan definitely takes a lot of planning when you're traveling. But especially in Europe, the scene is really growing, I'd say even more so than in the US. So one of the main goals of my company is to connect with local vegans in the destinations that we go to, and just trying to support their businesses, whether it's a walking tour or a food tour or a cooking class or an animal sanctuary. And now even completely vegan hotels are popping up in Europe. So
wow, I had no idea. That's really interesting to learn, and good to know that that is growing, the health and nutrition lifestyle, and that healthy way of living. Now I have to ask you this, that when it comes to travel, why not just say, I'm going to do this on my own? I'm going to pack my bag, I'm going to sling it over my shoulder, and I'm taking off by myself, and I'm going to do it my way. I don't have to answer to anybody. What was it that made you decide to go with a group?
It takes about minimum 40 hours to plan a vacation, just if you were doing it on your own. So there are just so many details on the tour that we had on to Tuscany, which was for 8 nights. I had actually made over 75 reservations just for that week, everything from the hotels to train tickets to guided tours and the restaurant reservations. So it's really a lot of work, a lot of detailed work, lots of research. And I think the best thing about our tours are that it's just the sense of community. So sitting around the table, and we already have something very much in common that's really important to all of us. If someone's not vegan, then it's a really good learning experience for them, because they might not know any vegans where they live. I mean, we're really lucky in Asheville to have a very strong community, but lots of people that might be in the Midwest really don't have any support. So they can learn a lot. And also there's a lot of activities that we do that would be difficult to do on your own, because, the local business might not think that it's worth it to them to just provide this activity for 1 or 2 people. And then if it's a cooking class or something, then there's just like cost saving measures for the travelers if the activity is done in a group.
So it really sounds like many things we deal with is that, that sense of community, that thread of community just really makes things a lot better and oftentimes more fulfilling. And it sounds like there's really no difference when you're traveling as well, especially with a good group of folks. Now, my understanding here in this thread of community, I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn. My understanding is that you yourself actually live in a really unique community. And it is a community that's becoming a little popular with older adults. And that's tiny homes. Is that correct?
Yes. So I live in a terrific tiny house community in Mills River, just a half hour south of Asheville. It started 3 years ago, and it's completely full here right now. And it just turned out, I just realized yesterday after we spoke, we actually have a huge LGBTQ population here, and we also have a big vegan population. Now, some of that was my doing, because I think I've gotten 4 or 5 people that I knew as vegan friends to move here. So, I just love it because we have wide age ranges here. Our youngest resident is 6 months old, and the oldest is probably close to 80. And there is a lot of sharing of resources, of helping, and even material resources. Not everybody has to have a snow shovel or a sewing machine, especially since it's a tiny house. So we have a spreadsheet of possessions that people are willing to loan out to the neighbors. And yeah, it's I don't plan on ever moving from here. I've really found my heaven in Western North Carolina.
Now, give folks an idea, just a general idea, because some folks may not know really what the tiny house means. When you say tiny, now we're talking a smaller space. Is that correct?
Yes, so I'm in the largest space that can be here, which is 400 square feet. And I think the smallest house here is, believe it or not, only 125 square feet. So, but we don't feel limited at all. I mean, this was really a goal for all of us, and not even really a financial goal. I mean, just a having lower impact on the environment, and just having less possessions and an easier lifestyle. So we don't feel limited at all. I mean, I have many neighbors that have perhaps 2 cats and 2 dogs in a tiny house even. So
I love to hear that. Now, so I'm assuming this could make the ability to age in place for older adults much more accessible. A much more
yes,
accessible.
because there is a lot of help that you can ask of from your neighbors. One of my neighbors had a knee replacement recently, and she asked if people might be able to help walk her dog, and she had plenty of volunteers. And I've recently learned that the house that I live in, my builder is in just over the border in South Carolina. They're actually making wheelchair accessible houses now.
Oh, that's really fantastic to hear. And, that's certainly something we want to strive to do is age in place. So to know that those are options that are available is just really fantastic.
Yeah, and just the
Now,
fact, like, you don't have to take care of a yard. I mean, you can have one if you can do whatever you'd like within 15 feet of your house, but all the landscaping is and yard work is done for us.
I kind of like the idea of having Saturdays free. That really does sound very nice.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, are there any striking similarities between like maybe your home community and that tight-knit feeling and maybe somewhere you visited where the community may be maybe striking similarity or difference between communities? Like you had mentioned Italy.
Yeah. I mean, in Italy, I do feel it's very family oriented, neighborly oriented, and just a lot of okay, yeah. I mean, Italians are really into their cars and things, but they also walk a ton, and it seemed to me that there was just a lot of meeting neighbors on the street and things like that. And I mean, they even have a tradition where every single day before dinner, they kind of go on a neighborhood stroll and just catch up on all the news and everything.
I absolutely love that. And I imagine in a tight knit community, in a lot of ways, it's kind of that same family feel, which is really fantastic. Now, I do want to bring up that you do give back to the community, and clearly that's evidenced by you being here today as one example, but you also donate a portion of your profits to animal sanctuaries.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, can you tell us a little bit about that and your inspiration behind that?
Well, we have so many animal sanctuaries, farmed animal sanctuaries within an hour of Asheville. I mean, I think we could be up to about a dozen right now. And so I sometimes organize volunteer days at those, and always try to attend as long as I'm in town if they're having a special event or a fundraiser. And I want to, and pretty much all of my personal donations are really just going to farmed animal sanctuaries. But once COVID is winding down and my business is back in the swing of things and making a good profit, I definitely will. I think I want to start a program where I'm not always the one that's deciding which sanctuary to donate to, because there's so many that are worthy, but for my clients to actually have an input as well. So, maybe the first person who signs up for a tour, they would get to choose which sanctuary to donate to.
That's really fantastic. And that, in a lot of ways that lets people really kind of have control of that and still give back. And yeah, it might be a little more inclined to give too, if it's something that touches their heartstrings. So
Right.
that's a really great idea. That's fantastic. Now, and why, I hear community, and I hear that that's very important to you, and a sense of kinship with the folks around you. And I'm assuming that's why giving back is important to you. But, do you want to espouse on that just a little bit more on the importance of, a little give back?
Yeah, I'm also trying to do as much as I can in Asheville now, and to not have a company that's just mostly having activities overseas. So I this is the first place I've lived that when I'm away, I just miss it so much, and I can't wait to be back. I miss obviously a lot of vegan activities that happen in the community when I'm away. So I'm starting to focus a little bit more when I'm in town on tours in Asheville. So whether that's giving a vegan food tour, or lately I've been having a lot of requests for people that are thinking about moving here, usually retired people, and they'll ask me if they can hire me to show them around for a day or two, while they're making a visit here. And so I'm just trying to come up with different ways to be more involved in Asheville to make up for the time that I'm away.
That's great. Now, we did have somebody that wants to hear a little more about your passion for animal welfare and trends around the treatment of animals in different countries.
I would say in the US, in terms of animal sanctuaries, we're lucky. I mean, not in the fact that there's a need to have the sanctuaries, but just because we know that a lot of animals are being saved. You don't come across as many animal sanctuaries in Europe. There definitely are some, but they're usually a bit difficult to get to. And I would have to say that some countries where I know that animal abuse is really prevalent, it would be difficult for me to plan a tour there. But there's also really good things that are happening. The past 3 years or so, I'm seeing a lot of focus on animal welfare, not just in vegan or vegetarian publications, but even in mainstream travel magazines, and things about the cruelty and riding elephants, and what has to be done to them ahead of time in order for them to be ridden. And I'm really happy to see that there's a lot of huge companies that are no longer offering those experiences. So it's definitely changing. It'll still take a little while, but definitely moving in the right direction. I think that there's just, if someone can afford it, the best way to be with animals would be to go on an African safari. And there's definitely ways to do that don't have to be that expensive. You can just go to the really big Kruger National Park in South Africa, say, and that's not an exclusive private experience. And for instance, there's places in Thailand where you can volunteer with elephants, and there shouldn't be anything that's hands-on with them, but there's plenty of experiences where you can just watch them from afar.
They're truly magnificent creatures, and I would love the opportunity, I must say, to take a African safari. A dear friend of mine said it was absolutely life-changing. So, it's not the first time I've heard it. So, I second your recommendation, even though I've never been. So, wow, this has been so much I've learned today, and I really appreciate you sharing with us. And if anybody has any questions, now's your chance. Go ahead and let us know, and we'll deal with that. And in the meantime, Kim, is there anything maybe, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but is there anything that I haven't brought up or mentioned that you just want to get out there that you want folks to know about? Or
speaking of community, I have something that that really has nothing to do with my business, although it's helped me with my business a lot. And since 1999, I've been a member of a fantastic organization based in the UK called Women Welcome Women Worldwide. And it's basically an international hospitality and friendship organization, and we have about 3,000 members around the world, and a directory. And if you are planning to visit a country, you can look and see if there's any members there and ask if you could stay for 3 nights. And it's a completely different way of traveling. It's really like you're a temporary resident in the location instead of, a tourist, for sure. And I just like to mention it because they don't do any advertising. Everything is word of mouth, but I have friendships all over Europe from this organization.
Oh, wow. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us. And it's good to know about different alternatives and to travel and things like that. So thank you for sharing. And I think we have one question. Oh, here we go. Are tiny houses suitable for couples?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we have about 70 houses here now, and probably half are singles and the rest are couples, even in houses that are much smaller than mine.
Excellent. And I guess in some ways that might depend on the couple. It might be two tiny houses next to each other. But anyway, well, wonderful, Kim. I don't think we have any more questions, and we're coming up on our time, unfortunately, but I do really want to thank you for joining us today and taking time out of your schedule to just chat with me. And I want to thank everybody that's watched us live today and taken time out of your schedule to spend some time with us for Rainbow Inspirations. And I want to remind everybody to check out either the stories that was mentioned, the AARP North Carolina StoryCorps project, or other Rainbow Inspirations segment, which happens the first Wednesday of every month. Join us in December 1st, it's going to be, and that's always at 12 noon. And also, one more thing, the Western North Carolina LGBTQ Oral History Project that is being hosted by Blue Ridge Pride. Please go to their website and check that out and share your story, because I'm sure someone can take something away from it. Thank you all for your time and the opportunity to share with us. Thank you, Kim, and we hope everybody has a beautiful day ahead.